All right, let's see what's Trump doing here.
To do with Alaska, a place that I'm very familiar with, and we're making it greater, bigger, and more powerful, and job producing. It's an economic gold mine, so to speak. And I signed this years ago, and Biden unsigned it for me. This was something that should have been long operating and making billions of dollars for our country and supplying a lot of energy and minerals and everything else that we're talking about. And they undid it and wasted a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of effort. And now we're starting again, and this time we have plenty of time to get it done, and it's going to be done properly. I'd like to ask your Department of Interior head, who has done a fantastic job, Doug Burgum, to say a few words about it, and we'll go to Chris after you and anybody else that wants to say something. And it's a very powerful deal, very, very big deal from the standpoint of minerals and energy. So thank you all for being here. Doug, please go ahead.
Well, thank you, President Trump. Yesterday is a historic day. President Trump, as he promised when he was running in the election to the American people, that he was going to unlock the potential of this country. He was going to unlock America's mineral wealth. He was going to generate returns for American people, and he was going to importantly bolster critical supply chains around critical minerals for our country. On day one, he signed in a very important executive order, Unleashing Alaska's Extraordinary Resource Potential, and this is part of the continuation. There's a number of things that have already happened with Alaska that are moving forward. There's more to come, but big milestone today. In reversing this Biden-era decision about the Ambler Road, this is a 211-mile long road that begins over 200 miles north of Fairbanks off the Haul Road that goes up to the North Slope. This road goes to an area where there's no roads. Ambler Mining District at the end of that has some of the richest mining deposits in all of America and in all of the world. And these are minerals that are absolutely essential to defense, to industry moving forward today. Just take copper alone. This is one of the richest copper locations in the country. And of course, today to build a data center, you can have tens of thousands of tons of copper required for that. Even a single family home today may have as much as 400 pounds of copper in a home. And we have, as a nation, in the past, basically gotten out of the mineral and energy and mining area. President Trump, when he said drill baby drill, he also was mine baby mine. We've got to get back in the mining business. China controls 85 to 100% of all the mining and refining of the top 20 critical minerals. And in this mine area up there, we got copper, lead, zinc, gold, silver, gallium, germanium. So rich in all of the minerals that we need to win the AI arms race against China and to prosper as a country. And so again, today this was history being made. When some of this was set aside in 1980 by Jimmy Carter, there was a special authority created for presidents to decide if there was a dispute. And so for the first time in history, a president is actually using that authority. President Trump, as he does, using his authority for the benefit of the American people. And the appeal came in from the state of Alaska asking that this road be built. Alaska's not a colony. They're a state. They have an opportunity to build roads like any other state. With this signing, President Trump, Alaska can go ahead and build this road. It'll be a toll road, not a public road. It's a toll road, so it'll be controlled in terms of traffic. It's a gravel road. It'll be sensitive to the environment. There'll be collaboration with the Native Alaskan corporations in terms of how it's built and how it's used, supporting the Alaskan Native tribes with subsistence hunting regulations on either side of this. But this opens up a wealth of resources. In addition, there's going to be an announcement made later today that is part of this announcement that the Department of War, the United States government, is making an investment in Trilogy Minerals. They're one of the companies that has mining claims in this area that is remote wilderness right now. And again, making that investment so we can make sure that we're securing these critical mineral supplies and that ownership in that company will benefit the American people. With that, I'll kick it over to Chris Wright.
Thank you, Doug. And a huge thank you to the President today. This is a tremendous achievement for the people of Alaska. We were in the North Slope of Alaska a few months ago celebrating energy development there. They want jobs and opportunity to develop the resources on their lands. This is another major step forward. We say energy is the lifeblood of society, the circulatory system. Minerals and metals, they're the skeletal infrastructure, the physical upholding of everything we do. Everywhere we walk and operate, your cameras, everything you hold are made out of metals and minerals. President Biden thought it was appropriate to offshore both of these industries outside of our country. That has not left us in a strong place. President Trump, in his first term, and even more strongly in his second term, is bringing those industries back to our country. America was a mining powerhouse for a long, long time, and our mining industry got squelched. Now we're seeing it come back to life. You saw the President's truth not long ago about a deal for lithium production in Nevada just a week or so ago. This will more than tenfold increase American lithium production, and this infrastructure, this mining road in the Ambler Mining District, will just have immense impact on future mining opportunities for our country's security and economic opportunities for the people of Alaska. Our critical minerals and mining expert within the administration is standing right next to me, David Copley. I'll see if he wants to add any words.
This is a really big deal for the American mining industry, and I think it shows the President's seriousness about getting this industry going, making sure we have the critical minerals we need for our defense industrial base and for our broader economy.
Thank you very much. And I think we want to get this going by a certain time, so I signed it, and Will, I'm going to give it to you, and you get it filed.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
It's a big job. Thank you very much. So we created a great deal of wealth for that part of the world and that part of our country by doing this long, very difficult road to build, and we'll be talking about that sometime later. But it's a great deal for our country. It's a great deal for the people of our country and for the taxpayers of our country. And if you have any questions on that, let me know. Steve?
The road to be constructed, how quickly will that get underway?
Well, this road, it's an industrial road. It'll have ownership. It'll likely be split between the state of Alaska, the federal government, and the Native Alaska corporations. We would expect that construction would begin next spring with planning throughout this winter. The 211-mile long road will be a gravel road with a solid design base to handle the weight of the trucks that are going in and out. This is typical design that far north because asphalt with a freeze-thaw cycle, very difficult with asphalt and concrete. So gravel, a fantastic gravel road is going to have the least impact on the environment, going to be the best suited purpose. Alaska's done this in the past with the Red Dog mine. They built a toll road that again has ownership. The companies that use the road pay to transit that road. So this is an economic model used around the world in mining districts. We'll apply it right here. And again, it's going to generate revenue for the American people and for the citizens of Alaska as opposed to a cost.
And also 2 bridges. We're going to build 2 bridges that we'll be able to complete, and we'll get them up very quickly.
And how long to complete? I mean, 211 miles, that's a lot.
Yes, we'll get it done in less than a year.
It's going to come in three phases. The first road, as President Trump said, will go quickly, which is they call it a pilot road. We'll build a single lane gravel road through the full duration of it. That'll be then expanded into a second phase and then a third phase over time. But again, we want to get that pilot road built because then we can help get materials back to help the mine get started quickly as well.
Mr. President, there's negotiations happening with your team in Egypt right now over your proposed peace plan. It was reported by actors over the weekend that you had called with Prime Minister Netanyahu where you told him to stop being so negative and to take a win when it came to Hamas's response to that. Is that true?
No, it's not true. He's been very positive. He's been very positive on the deal. Everybody is. I think every nation is. We have just about every nation working on this deal and trying to get it done. Something that you could say 3,000 years if you look at it in certain ways, or you could say centuries, but this is a deal that incredibly, everyone just came together. They all came together. No, Israel's been great. They've all been good, Caleb.
When they say 5
lines
packs,
in terms
I
of
don't think.
Hamas disarming and whatnot, or
No,
there
I have
places
red
you're
lines.
willing
If certain things aren't met, we're not going to do it. But I think we're doing very well, and I think Hamas has been agreeing to things that are very important.
Mr. President, on the government shutdown, Mr. President, if the vote today fails in the Senate, will that trigger layoffs?
It could, at some point it will, and the Democrats are the ones that started this, and if you think about it, it's about health care to a large extent. It's about, we want great health care for people. We don't want to give the money away to other people that come pouring into our country, and they've already poured because nobody's coming into our country now. We have the border totally stopped. In fact, numbers we just announced again, we're at another 0, so we have 0 for 4 months in a row. 0 people coming into our country illegally. That's a pretty good number. I'm not sure even I can believe that, Doug, if you want to know the truth. 0. We went from millions of people to 0, but it's pretty close to that number, and the way you stop them is not to give away, not to announce that you're giving everybody free health care, free this and that, but what that does is it affects the American people because the American people are unable to get good health care. Obamacare has been a wreck, as you know, and to do that, we have to keep it propped up and do the best you can with it. It's a mess. But a lot of things are going on in that. We talk about Hamas, then we talk about negotiations that we have going on right now. We have a negotiation going on right now with the Democrats that could lead to very good things.
What kind of
And I'm talking about good things with regard to health care.
Are you speaking with Democratic leaders? What kind of negotiations?
Well, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. But we are speaking with the Democrats, and some very good things could happen with respect to health care.
Would you make a deal with them on the ACA subsidies?
If we made the right deal, I'd make a deal, sure.
So you would make
I mean, you have right now subsidies. You have subsidies. That's the problem with Obamacare. The subsidies are so much. It's billions and billions of dollars is being wasted. And we can have a much better health care than we have right now. And we're talking to them. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen because this has also been going on, not for 3,000 years, but it's been going on for a long time. But yeah, we're talking to the Democrats.
You would work to make a deal with them on
I'd like to see a deal made for great health care. Yeah, I want to see great health. I'm a Republican, but I want to see health care much more so than the
So,
Democrats.
Mr. President, on all of this, as you know, the American people are experiencing a lot of pain with any kind of government shutdown. And while you're dealing with Democrats and, of course, Republicans are standing their ground, what is your message directly to the American people who may encounter some of this pain and despair? How do you give them hope?
Well, up till now, there hasn't been a great deal of pain. There could be a great deal of pain, but up till now, there hasn't been. I will say this, just hang in there because I think a lot of good things are going to happen. That's all I can say. I mean, I think a lot of good things could happen, and that could also pertain to health care.
Mr. President, I've seen a surge in attacks on ICE agents across the country, including the shooting in Dallas and over the weekend in Chicago. We saw 10 cars boxing in on ICE agents and another one ramming into an ICE vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
We have heard Secretary Noem saying that some of these attackers are actually organized and they're planning to kill and ambush these officers.
Right.
What are the consequences?
Very severe. We're going to have very severe. We're going to find out who's going after our federal agents. So when you look at Chicago, they've had probably 50 murders in the last 6 or 7 months, 8 months. Many, many people shot, like 30, 40, 50 people shot. Didn't die, but they've been shot. It's like a war zone. And then I listen to the governor and the mayor get up and say how they have it under control. They don't. It's probably worse than almost any city in the world. You could go to Afghanistan. You can go to a lot of different places, and they probably marvel at how much crime we have. Then you go to Memphis, where we are right now. Now, it's you had it just like in Washington, D.C. right now. You people know better than I do because you have to live right inside. And so many of the press have come to me. They've said, I can't believe it. It's changed so much. We have a safe city in Washington. Memphis will very soon have a safe city. Chicago can be very, very safe. It's going to be very safe. But Chicago is going to be very safe. And you say, why is it that a governor wouldn't accept free help from regardless. I mean, whether it's National Guard or the military or anybody. I mean, if women raped and beaten and knocked to hell, and the same with men where they're being shot all over the place in large numbers. I mean, we had a week in Chicago where 11 people were murdered and 38 people were shot. And then we have a governor get up and say, oh, it's safe, we can handle it. He can't handle it. He's an incompetent guy. That's why they threw him out of the family business. They threw him out. I knew the family business very well. And they threw him out. And now he's a governor. And he should say, we'd love to have a safer place. Chicago's a great city potentially. You know, I told you, the head of the Union Pacific Railroad said, sir, save Chicago. It's a great city. It's going to be lost if you don't do it. We have no choice but to do this. And when judges give us rulings that, you know, you don't have to do it, Portland is on fire. Portland's been on fire for years. And not so much saving it. We have to save something else because I think that's all insurrection. I really think that's really criminal insurrection. So I appreciate the question. These are unsafe places. We're going to make them safe. So you see what's going on in Memphis. Not pretty, but you know what? We're doing a pretty job because it's going to be a very safe place in a little while. And the people of Memphis are so happy that we're there. And the people of Chicago. So you have black women with MAGA hats on in Chicago, all over the place. They want the Guard to come in, or they don't care who comes in. They just want to be safe. And they really don't care. You know, there was one woman, she was great today. She said, you know what? I don't care if it's the National Guard, the Army, the Marines, the Air Force. I don't care who comes in as long as we're safe. And that's the way most of the public feels. We're going to make Chicago really great again, and we're going to stop this crime. Then we're going to go to another one, and we're going to go city by city. We're going to have safe cities. And it was so great that we started with our nation's capital. One of the worst, I mean, so many people, every week somebody was killed. They'd come from Iowa, they'd come from Indiana. They want to see the Jefferson Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial. They want to see something, and they'd get shot. And you'd call their parents, I'm sorry, but your son is dead. And they go, what do you mean he's dead? Came to Washington, D.C.? Not anymore. That's not happening anymore. We have a safe place. We have a safe capital. It's as safe as we have probably almost just about in the country. And if you look back 6 months ago, 7 months ago, this was a death trap. You look back during the Biden, I mean, what they did, how badly they managed things. And almost all of these cities, most of these cities are Democrat-run. And we don't care, Democrat, Republican, we're going to make them safe. So we have to save Chicago. It's very important. And you can't have a government getting up and saying it's good when 11 people were shot over a weekend.
We got to make it safe again.
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary. But we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I'd do that. I mean, I want to make sure that people aren't killed. We have to make sure that our cities are safe. And it's turning out, and we started with D.C. It's been so successful. Think of it. People wouldn't go to restaurants. The restaurants were closing. We were losing a lot of restaurants, as you all know. And now restaurants are opening, and they're thriving. And I went 2 weeks ago, and it was great. I'm going to go again. I felt very safe, very safe. Forgetting about guards and Secret Service, and I would have gone. It would have been very safe. D.C. is a great, and look at the cleanliness of D.C. Look at how it's clean. You don't have tents all over the place. We had parks where you couldn't even walk through the park. You had people from tents, and they were violent people. Some of these people were violent people. We have a great, safe capital again. And if you look at it in 6 months from now, it'll be the most beautiful anywhere in the world. It's being cleaned. The graffiti's all gone now. The tents are all gone. We have a capital that you can be proud of, but it'll only get better with time.
The belligerent,
two-year anniversary of the
brung out
attack. Do you expect the Gaza deal tomorrow?
hobo
Any sort
or
of
homeless
deal
person
tomorrow?
I think we're going to have a
outside
deal.
of the street just yelling
It's a
up
hard
a
thing for me to
storm
say
or
that
some
when for
shit.
years and years they've been trying to have a deal with Gaza, but I mean, literally for centuries, okay, if you really think about it. But we're going to have a Gaza deal, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And what's the talks about the talks?
Well, I'm the one that got the hostages back. Remember that, you know? I'm the one
I was going to ask you that.
yeah, I got them back.
I got him back.
What you've accomplished
Yeah.
in this deal, should it
I'm
come
the
through, there will
one
be a
that
lot of
did
celebration
it.
on the streets of Israel. Now,
It
hostage
wasn't
families, have they been
Biden.
in contact with you
Biden's a
with regard to this
loser.
deal that
Yeah.
could happen?
They're so happy
Sleepy
about it. It's
Joe.
like, they can't breathe. One said, I can't breathe.
So sleepy.
You know, it's very sad because you have hostages and you have people that are no longer living. But the parents, and I've said this to you many times, the parents want the bodies of their boy back, the bodies of, you know, their loved one back. In most cases, they're young men, and they're dead. And there's probably 32 or so, about that number. Nobody knows exactly what the number is. They want that body back as much as if their son were alive. I've been with them. You know, many have come to the White House, to the Oval Office. I've been with many of the people that I got released. We have a fantastic group working on it. Steve Witkoff has been amazing. Jared, I took Jared out because Jared's you don't find anybody more capable, and we have the A+ team working on it. I think we've made tremendous progress. And yeah, the people of Israel wanted to happen, but the people related to hostages. I mean, you see in Israel tens of thousands of people They really want the hostages back, and they really want things to end. And I think Hamas now has been, all I can say is they've been fine. They've been fine. I hope it's going to continue that way. I think it will. I really think we're going to have a deal. We have a really good chance of making a deal, and it'll be a lasting deal. We want to have peace. This is beyond Gaza. Gaza's a big deal, but this is really peace in the Middle East. And the amazing thing is we have every Arab country, every Muslim country, we have every country surrounding. They all want. I spoke with President Erdogan of Turkey. He's fantastic. He's been pushing very hard. He's a very powerful guy, and he's been pushing very, very hard to get this deal done. And Hamas has a lot of respect for him. They have a lot of respect for Qatar. They have a lot of respect for UAE and Saudi Arabia. We have everybody is on our side to get this deal done. There's never been anything like it. Nobody's ever seen it. There's always been like 80% of them don't want something done. I think virtually, we even had a signal, a very strong signal, as you know, from Iran. They'd like to see this done.
Mr. President, Governor Abbott offered up the Texas National Guard to you. Have you had any other conversations with other red state governors?
They're willing to offer. Every one of them is willing to offer whatever we need. We thank Governor Abbott of Texas. Every one of the red state, as you call them, red state governors is willing to give whatever we need because they want our agents protected. You know, these ICE agents have a tough job. They have to go in and get, in many cases, stone-cold criminals, hardened criminals, long-time criminals, and every essentially Republican governor has offered up whatever we need.
Excuse
and
me,
some
the Democrats in California are being
Daniel?
retarded. They're trying to dox the fucking
The Biden
agents.
administration previously speaking, they shut down last year for business. You reversed that, reversed it on day one. You opened
I mean, we all know why they
minerals.
fucking
This
use
mission of
masks.
yours, Secretary Burgum, Secretary
Obviously
Biden,
for
to boost
protection.
our own independent production of critical minerals, rare
Well, it's
earths,
necessary.
And
Right.
especially if
important that
some
is
of them
over
might
the next
be
40 years.
Well, it's very necessary. You know, in the
investigators or
past, we
some
were able to
shit
go to other countries, buy whatever we want, but all of a sudden, if those countries are
gang-related
hostile, and by the way,
activity and
China
shit
hasn't
like
been.
that, so
We've
it's
made
like
deals with China. You know,
you're
they approved the TikTok deal.
basically
Everyone said, you'd never get the TikTok
doxing
deal
your
approved. They approved it.
investigators.
We have great people buying it.
It's like, dude,
American,
what the fuck are
big,
you
strong
doing?
American companies are buying it. The most prestigious companies there are, actually, and they're going to make sure everything's good. But
why would
President
you-
Xi was
why are
great.
you
He
doing
approved
that?
it.
Or
So
why
I'm
are
not
you
saying
putting
hostile,
your
but
law
it's good to have our own
enforcement at
minerals, and you know, we created tremendous value
criminals,
by
by the
creating a
way,
road. We build a road that
who
only we
have
can do
guns
because we have
and
the rights to do it,
weapons
number one, and we have
of
the power to
some
do it.
sort,
And so we
right?
build a road that's over 200 miles long
Playing
through
a fucking
a
dangerous
very
game.
beautiful area of the world. Actually, it's incredible. When you look at it, it's incredible, but a rough area from the standpoint of building. So we get a road done, and with that, we unleash billions and billions of dollars of wealth. It's pretty amazing when you think of it. And it's wealth that we need if we're going to be the number one country. You know, we're number one now with AI. You probably read. We're beating everybody with AI at levels that nobody ever thought even possible. And one of the reasons we are is because of energy. So our grid is old and tired, like most grids are. They get old with time. I mean, you know, the older you are, the older the grid gets, right? But I've allowed the people building AI or other plants, other types of plants, but AI in particular, because they need so much electricity, I've allowed them to build their own power. And it's been amazing. They're building massive plants. And with the plant, they're building their own electricity. They become a utility in a sense. I said, maybe you'll do better with the utility than you do with the AI. I don't know. But we're letting them build their own electricity. So we don't have to worry about the grid. We don't have to worry about anything. And they're going to build it in such a way that if they have excess capacity, they're going to put it back into the grid. It's pretty amazing. So when they build, we're giving them permits to build their own electric power plants. And it's incredible when you see what they're doing. And because of that and other things that we're doing, we're leading every country. Nobody's even close to us with AI. And AI seems to be the big thing. I don't know. I can't tell you that. There are a lot of people building, and a lot of people have high stock prices
No
because
one's
of AI.
close
So a lot
to
of people
us.
think it's great stuff. And
We're
I think
the
it's great
best.
stuff. I look
We're
at
the
it.
very
It's amazing
best.
what it can do. In terms of medical costs, in terms of knowledge, it's basically information, and information at a level that nobody thought possible before. So we'll see. But they're building plants where you saw the one overlay that I did where, in this case, it's Meta. One of their plants is essentially almost the size of Manhattan. And that's a building, you know, it's a building that covers Manhattan. So it's big stuff. And nobody's even close to us. We're leading AI by so much.
Mr. President,
Yeah, go ahead, please.
since the start of your administration, we've seen a lot more Americans wanting to join ICE. And as we're seeing more attacks on them right now, what's your message to rank and file ICE agents who are trying to do their jobs but are facing 1,000% increase in attacks?
I love your questions, you know, I like you. So who are you with?
I'm with NTD.
Very good.
One got mugged.
You were the one, that's what I thought. You got mugged. You're not getting mugged anymore.
Not anymore.
She was really, you're lucky to be with us with that deal that happened. I know all about that. No, not anymore, though. You feel a different world out there, right?
Totally. We say with the baby. reality.
Oh, good. Well, you're safe now. Nobody's going to be hurting you in any way.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. President, also, your report today.
Thank you. So the bottom line on your question, we're just going to make things real safe. We're going to have a country that you can be proud of, not a country that you read about every day where somebody gets mugged from behind or hit over the head with a baseball bat. Those people aren't with us any longer. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. On today's call with Lula from Brazil,
Yeah.
are you considering lowering tariffs after the call?
Well, I had a great talk with the president of Brazil. He was a good man. I met him actually at the United Nations. I was going up to make a speech, and I didn't have a teleprompter. I was walking up to my teleprompter. I said, I don't have a teleprompter. But just before that, I met with President Lula, and I found him to be very good. I mean, we had a very good talk for about 2 minutes. And then I went up to make a speech, and I was surprised to see, how would you like that one, Doug? I've got every leader in the world sitting out there. And my teleprompter isn't on. You know why, Daniel? Because it was a rigged deal. But fortunately, I made a better speech than I would have if I read it off a teleprompter, which is pretty easy to do. So it was quite a day. That was a big day. But we met, and we liked each other. And, we had a great conversation. We'll start doing business.
And are you considering traveling to Brazil for COP30?
At some point, I would, and he's going to come here. We talked about that.
And a follow-up question on Israel. Israel government has been arresting and deporting activists that were traveling to Gaza. Today, Greta Thunberg, for instance, also some...
Well, she's just a troublemaker, I mean, she's no longer into the environment now. She's into this. She's a troublemaker. She has an anger management problem. I think she should see a doctor. She needs anger. If you ever watch her, she's a young person. She's so angry. She's so crazy. Now you can have her. She's just a troublemaker. Yeah, please.
The Supreme Court is back in its term today, Mr. President.
Say it.
The Supreme Court is back in session. They rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what
They
happened?
said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people who have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I'd have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly. Steve?
Have you made a decision on whether to supply Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine or sell them to NATO and let them sell them to Ukraine?
Yeah, I've sort of made a decision, pretty much. If you consider, I think I want to find out what they're doing with them.
Yes.
Where are they sending them? I guess I'd have to ask that question. That war should never have started. Would have never started. Such bad judgment was used there. I think on both sides, by the way. But nobody looks good with the war with Russia and Ukraine. Nobody. It's been a horrible. This week they lost over 7,000 soldiers between the two of them. This is every week they're losing 7,000, 8,000, 5,000.
They have a range of like 1,500 miles or something, so they'd be able to...
No, I know. No, I would ask some questions. I want to see what's... I'm not looking to see escalation.
Yes. And tomorrow you're meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister. What's on the agenda for that?
Well, I guess he's going to ask about tariffs because a lot of companies from Canada are moving into the United States. Everybody's moving back into the U.S. and he's probably going to be asking about tariffs. They're losing a lot of companies in Canada. They're coming into the... They left here. They left here 20 years ago. When presidents that sat right at this desk weren't doing their job properly. They were probably good politicians, but they weren't good at business, and they allowed these companies to leave. And all they had to do is do what I'm doing right now. And, I'm not saying it's the easiest thing to do, but it is. It's effective. We're a rich country again. We're a powerful country because, I've ended 7 wars. At least half of them was because of my ability at trade and because of tariffs. If I didn't have tariffs to throw around a little bit, you would have at least 4 wars raging right now with thousands of people a day being killed that aren't happening. We've settled. We settled 7. We're getting close to settling 8. That would be a big one. And that's something that could happen. So I think he's coming probably to talk about tariffs because a lot of companies are leaving Canada to come into the U.S. And they're leaving Mexico. And by the way, they're leaving China. They're leaving all over the world to come into the U.S. Nobody's actually seen anything like it.
Would you shift your position on tariffs in response to whatever you
Well,
said
I mean,
tomorrow?
look, my position's turned out to... Everybody said I'm right. They find billions of dollars that they didn't even know they had. Recently, they said they found billions of dollars, and they couldn't understand. I said, check the tariff shelf. And they come in the next hour, and they said, sir, you're right. It was from the tariffs. We're a really rich country again. But more importantly, maybe influence. If I didn't have
As
the
you can
power of
see, he's
tariffs,
still gassing
you would have
himself
at least 4 of the 7 wars raging. I used tariffs to stop wars. If you look at India and Pakistan, they were ready to go at it. 7 planes we shot down. They were ready to go at it. And then nuclear powers. And... I don't want to say exactly what I said, but what I said was very effective. They stopped. And that was based on tariffs. It was based on trade. Tariffs are very important for the United States. We are a peacekeeper because of tariffs. Not only do we make, hundreds of billions of dollars, but we're a peacekeeper because of tariffs.
Mr. President.
On the shutdown, Mr. President, the shutdown that occurred during your first term lasted 35 days.
Yeah.
How long do you expect this shutdown to go?
Well, you don't know. Look, I can say this, that it would have not happened except for the Democrats. The Democrats are very foolish. They've lost their way. And we have a new thing now when you look at, it's called crime. It's called absolute, as Biden would say, well, I won't say what he would have said. Remember when he said, it's a 3-letter word, no. Remember that one? And we say, what was that all about? He probably meant exclamation point or something after the word. But this is a 5-letter word, crime, C-R-I-M-E. And we want to put it out and are putting it out, and they don't. They don't seem to care about it, but they do care. I believe that Pritzker and this mayor of Chicago that like to say about they don't have it under control. Not only is it not under control, it's the opposite. And I believe they're afraid. They're scared for their lives. I believe that the Portland people are scared. You look at what's happened with Portland over the years. It's a burning hellhole. And then you have a judge that lost her way that tries to pretend that there's no problem. Actually, she's not even saying that. There's a huge problem in Portland. I'll tell you what the problem is. Crime. Okay, crime. There's a huge problem in Chicago. It's called crime. And we want to put out the crime. And they want to inflame the crime. And why they want to, I don't know. But it could be that Pritzker is scared for his life. Yeah.
You appointed that judge on the UN. Do you have an update on the investigation into what happened to you after the UN last month? And also, what's your message to Americans who are concerned about your and your family's safety as you're very out in public?
Yeah, I am out there. There's no question about it. Well, at the UN, we had a problem with the teleprompter. We had another problem that nobody has actually talked about. The people in the room didn't hear my speech. Did you know that? The people in the room, they didn't have any loudspeakers, and they didn't hear my speech. And I thought I made a really good speech. I mean, considering I didn't have the use of teleprompter, which is unusual. But I made a speech. I could have walked off the stage. I guess most people, Doug, I think most people would have just said, we'll see you in about a half an hour, right? But, they obviously turned off I think they turned off the teleprompter, but there was a reason that it didn't work. I actually know the reason. They didn't let the teleprompter person into the room, okay, which is essentially the same thing.
So Trump is still upset about the teleprompter thing. He's upset that he feels like they didn't listen to his speech. And the escalator.
Speech, it turned out to be a very good speech. Got good reviews.
Right when he got there.
I went out to the audience after the speech. I saw my wife. I said, how good was that speech? Was that unbelievable or what? She said, I didn't hear a word you said. I said, what do you mean? She was sitting in the front. I said, what do you mean? She said, you couldn't hear anything that you said. The speakers were turned off. So I think that's pretty bad stuff, right? Especially since we support most of the United Nations. And yet I still want to keep it in New York. Because I think the United Nations has tremendous potential. If properly run, the United States has tremendous potential. But think of this. I settled 7 wars. I never spoke to the United Nations about it. Not one of them. You look at, and those were wars that were raging a long time. And in many cases. And I settled 7. I never heard from the United. They didn't help me. They should be able to settle the wars. I shouldn't have to be settling the wars. Yeah, please.
I think last week you signed the security guarantees for Qatar.
Yeah.
Do you see any role for the Senate in that? Do they have to vote on that? Or do you think?
Well, I wouldn't mind if they did. If they want to, they'd let me know. Nobody said that. But Qatar's been very, very helpful to us in this process, and I think you'll find that. I think maybe the most influential. Very influential, very strong. With Hamas, they're very strong. And Turkey's likewise been helpful. I mean, honestly, UAE, Saudi Arabia, everybody's been helpful. I just spoke today with the King of Jordan, and he's been terrific too. I can't think of any country that's been negative about this. This is why it should happen. I mean, everybody wants it to happen. And usually when everybody, including, I think, Hamas, and when they want it to happen, it's going to happen.
James Comey is being arraigned on Wednesday, obviously after his indictment. Are you worried that your own statements calling for his prosecution could help him actually in his defense of this case?
No, I think he's a crooked guy. He's a dirty cop. Comey, I think he's a dirty cop. He's recognized by many people to be a dirty cop and a dishonest guy. So all I have to do is, I have nothing to do with the case. I just say,
but you called him to prosecute him.
No, I don't call anybody. You know what? I'm allowed to do that if I wanted to do that. But Comey's a crooked guy. He has been for years. And he got caught. Look, he lied. This is just a simple case. He totally lied. And then he confirmed the lie on, I guess, numerous occasions, or at least one occasion. He confirmed the lie. He said, that's what I said, and I stand by it. And, the guy, and he didn't say, to the best of my knowledge. He didn't say, well, I don't remember. He made a very definitive statement and a very important statement concerning him. And he got caught in an outright lie. And that's why a group of people, it wasn't me that voted. They voted to indict him. But he's a crooked guy, in my opinion, and we'll find out. The court's going to determine that in a little while, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do some farm stuff this weekend.
Yeah, please. Navy yesterday celebrating
it was unbelievable.
250th. Can you talk about that? And as we get closer to America's 250th, you've initiated a prayer initiative as well.
Yeah.
Talk to me about both of those events and why they're so important, particularly the prayer initiative going forward to the...
Well, we have, and we're dealing, as you know, with all of the different, and not just evangelicals, Christians. We're dealing with lots of different faiths, religions. And I felt for a long time that, if a country doesn't have religion, doesn't have faith, doesn't have God, it's going to be very hard to be a good country. There's no reason to be good. I want to be good because you want to prove to God that you're good, so you go to that next step, right? So that's very important to me. I think it's really very important. And yesterday was amazing. We went out. We went to the naval base, the largest in the world, actually, and I saw things that were incredible. The level of I don't want to use the word weapons, but they are weapons. It's the technology on these planes, or the carriers, and all of the different things that we saw. They gave us missile displays. They did the whole. I don't think they've ever done anything like it, but it was really impressive. And the talent of the pilots, where they can land. The aircraft carriers look massive, but when you put them in the middle of like the Atlantic, or in this case, pretty far off the coast of Virginia, and it's sitting in a big ocean, and it was pretty calm yesterday, but it's still a little bit testy, right? And you'd have these guys land right on a thing and come to a sudden screeching halt. And they're really something. They were taking off yesterday, and they look over, yes, sir, and then you see them, and you see them just get ripped back into the seat because the G-forces are so great. And actually, if you're not in great shape, because they were doing maneuvers that were incredible yesterday, and the admirals were explaining that if you're not in really good shape, you don't make it because you pass out. These guys and women. I met some women pilots it's incredible what they're able to do. So we saw something that was great, and you saw the spirit, because we had for a couple of thousand, I think they had probably 22,000, largely sailors, all dressed in the most beautiful white. There wasn't a spot on any of those uniforms. I looked at them. It was just a wave of white, and it was a great crowd and great reception. So, getting back to a very important question that was asked, when you go back a year ago, people weren't joining the armed forces. They weren't joining the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the Coast Guard, Air Force. If you look at, any of them, they weren't joining, Space Force. And now we're setting records recruitment, and that goes for police and fire. Now they want to be policemen, they want to be firemen, and firemen, people don't mention them. They're incredible. I know so many of them. They're brave as hell. I wouldn't want to do it, tell you. But they weren't able to recruit. The police weren't able to recruit, and the military wasn't able to recruit. We were really off. And I got elected, and it really started on November 5th. I got elected, and somehow the country developed a spirit. Financially, yes, but also with the military. And now we have record levels of people wanting to be in. Every force is filled. We have waiting lists to get into the Marines, to the Army, to the Navy, to the Air Force. We have Coast Guard. We have waiting lists to get in. It's amazing, actually, what's happened. We have a country it was a dead country. And I say it all the time. We had a dead country 1 year ago. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And it's nice to see you. I've watched you for years on television, so it's nice to meet you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Let's go. Thanks, guys. Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys. Let's go. Thank you, guys.
All right, there you have it. So yeah, he talked a lot about everything. Yeah, can't say much about anything really. It's the hottest country in the world, the United States. All right, anyways, there you have it. Trump being Trump. All right, let's see what Caroline Levitt has to say after the whole Trump
Glad
thing.
you're so excited to see me today. Alrighty. Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Monday. Let's get to it, and we'll begin with a few scheduling announcements today. President Trump will be hosting the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney tomorrow for a working meeting here at the White House.
Canadian
On
land
Thursday,
coming
the president
over.
will host his 8th cabinet meeting alongside his incredible team. Also
Cabinet
on
meeting.
Thursday afternoon, President Trump will host the president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, for a working meeting here at the White House. The president also wanted me to relay his congratulations to Japan for electing their next prime minister, a highly respected person who also happens to be the first female to hold the position for our great ally. While President Trump continues to negotiate peace deals, meets with world leaders, and celebrates the 250th birthday of our United States Navy, as you saw he and the First Lady do just yesterday, Democrats, unfortunately, are continuing to play political games. And we are now in day 6 of the Democrat federal government shutdown. Millions of American federal workers are under enormous financial stress as a result, wondering how they will pay their bills and take care of their families. If the Democrats do not vote to open the government tonight, federal workers will not receive their next full paycheck. Additionally, the special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children will run out of federal money very soon. This program provides vouchers to buy infant formula, fresh fruits and vegetables, and other healthy foods for low-income families. It can be easily fully funded if Democrats simply vote tonight to reopen the government. Also, our incredible military service members who risk their lives to preserve and defend our country are now working without pay and will miss their next paychecks if this Democrat shutdown does not end tonight. The Republican-backed clean and nonpartisan funding bill fully funds this important food aid program, gets our troops paid, and reopens the government. So all of this begs the question, what is the Democrat ongoing shutdown truly about? The sad truth, we believe, is that the Democrats intentionally shut down the government and are inflicting this pain on American citizens to try and demand free health care for illegal aliens. Of course, this is an indefensible and truly radical policy to be in favor of, let alone to use as the primary reason to shut down the United States government. So the Democrats and their allies are desperately lying about their true motivations. We have to set the record straight with the facts so the American people understand what's really at play here. House Republicans passed a clean and nonpartisan funding bill to keep the government open and ensure our troops and other hardworking Americans are paid. Every single House Democrat except one voted against this clean and nonpartisan funding bill. Senate Republicans have subsequently tried to pass this same clean funding bill 4 separate times, and they will do so again tonight, to fully pass it to be sent to the president's desk for signature. And the president is ready to sign this bill to reopen the government as soon as it is sent to his desk. Yet every single Senate Democrat except 3 have voted against this clean and nonpartisan funding bill. The Democrats' current position is that the only way the American government can reopen is if illegal aliens can get free health care. Don't take my word for it, just look at what's inside of the Democrats' proposal to reopen the government. Their funding proposal would result in nearly $200 billion spent on health care for illegal aliens and other non-citizens over the next decade. To put this in perspective, $200 billion is enough money to fund the entire children's health insurance program, which provides health insurance to low-income children and women. Under the Democrats' proposal, the millions of illegal aliens who improperly were granted asylum and paroled under the Biden administration would once again be allowed to receive Medicaid benefits. It does not end there. The Democrat proposal would also require Medicaid to pay more for emergency care provided to illegal aliens than it does for American patients who are disabled, elderly, or children. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. The Democrat Party has unfortunately closed our government, costing Americans their jobs, threatening our military readiness, harming our economy, and causing chaos, all to help the illegals who broke into our country. Instead of holding illegal aliens accountable and removing them from our country, which is what this administration is trying to do every day, the Democrats want to give them the free benefits paid for by the American taxpayer. Democrats in 2025 are for illegal aliens first and Americans last. This is the reality we are unfortunately facing right now in Washington, D.C. President Trump and Republicans will not give in to these radical demands. The president and Republicans have a sacred responsibility to serve and protect the interests of their constituents, the American people. That's why we are backing a clean and nonpartisan funding bill with no strings attached to reopen the government. Democrats should do what they did 13 separate times under Joe Biden and vote for this exact same type of funding bill. Now the Senate will vote tonight for the 5th time to reopen the government on the 6th day of this shutdown. All we need are an additional 5 Democrat senators to end this madness and vote for the clean funding bill to reopen the government. If you are an American watching at home right now, call your Democrat senators and tell them to do the right thing
you're
and
asking
end
the
this
wrong
shutdown.
person to call.
With that, I will take your questions here in our new media seat today. We have Elizabeth Mitchell from the Daily Signal. Elizabeth, thanks for being here, and please kick us off.
Thank you for having me. I have 2 questions. First, President Trump told reporters
you think
yesterday that firings
do you
of
think
federal
the senator
employees
I
are taking place
fucking
right
have
now,
to call
in
is
which
gonna
departments
fucking
have
listen to
people
what I
already
have to say?
been fired
Fuck
from their
no.
federal jobs due to the shutdown?
He's a piece of shit.
The president was referring to the hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have been furloughed as a result of this federal government shutdown.
And
both
he's a
here at the
veteran,
White
too.
House
That's the
and across
crazy
the
thing.
entire federal government, at agencies across the board. There are
Acts like
federal
a
workers who are staying
fucking
home. Many
commie.
of them work in the White House. You know them. Some of them sit just behind me at those desks. They are unable to show up to work right now because the Democrats chose to shut the government down. And so we're already, unfortunately, seeing the consequence of this. And then, of course, the Office of Management and Budget is continuing to work with agencies
I'm talking
on
about Ted
who,
Lieu.
unfortunately, is going to have to
That's
be laid off if this
literally the
shutdown
senator
continues.
in my district.
And Secretary
it's-
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said the FDA was required by federal law to approve the new abortion pill last week. Is the administration
a
considering
fucking
steps to
piece of
undo this in
shit.
light of requests from pro-life Congress members and organizations?
I think Secretary Kennedy and the Department of Health and Human Services, as I addressed in the briefing last week, were following the law, and
Right,
we will
he's
continue
just
to do
as
so. As I said
right,
last
he's
week as well,
just
it's
a
not an
fucking-
endorsement
just
of this
as
drug
big
by
of a
any
piece
means.
of shit
It's
as
just a law
Gavin
that they were
Newsom.
following. Jennifer.
We heard you say that you want people to call their Democratic senators. Is the president calling Democratic senators himself? Can you say what he's doing today to resolve the shutdown?
Yep, I was just in the Oval Office. He was on the phone with Speaker Johnson. He's also spoken with the Senate Majority Leader, who are in touch with, of course, moderate Democrats and Democrats across the board, who we understand hopefully want to do the right thing by their constituents to reopen the government. So the president is being kept very well apprised of the ongoing shutdown on Capitol Hill. And of course, his position is very clear. There's nothing to negotiate, just reopen the government, and then we can talk about all the important issues facing our country.
So he hasn't called specific members of Congress?
Not to my
himself?
knowledge, no.
And then on the Affordable Care Act, is he willing to give more, to share more on what he'd like to negotiate on the Affordable Care Act later? Is he willing to say specifically what he would like and when?
But look, the president is definitely committed to fixing and improving our healthcare system. You saw it again last week when he had one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world coming into the Oval Office and promising to lower drug prices by 200, 300, 100% in many cases for various types of drugs for American patients. That is a huge fix to a broken system that has been ripping off the American people for far too long. So the president's very committed to this. But right now, we need to reopen the federal government, and the president is remaining very firm in that position. Catherine.
If the vote fails in the Senate today to reopen the government, would that trigger layoffs?
Look, again, we hope that the vote will not fail because this administration wants to reopen the government. We don't want to see people laid off.
Are we going to
But
go for a
unfortunately,
7th day?
If this shutdown continues, layoffs are going
Yeah,
to
because
be
they
an
went for a 6th
unfortunate
day.
consequence of that.
When that would happen.
They
Well,
might
look,
go
we'll
for
see
a
how the vote
7th
goes
day.
tonight.
I mean, we'll find out
Is the
in
White House
what time is it?
floating a proposal
It's
to
one.
cap
We'll find out in
Obamacare
like
subsidies by
they
denying
start at
them
like
to new
5
employees?
I have
in the
not seen a proposal
morning.
like that. Emily.
Thanks, Caroline.
My time.
The president said yesterday he was considering
Right, they
a
start at
phase
like
2
8 or
approach
7
to
o'clock.
Venezuela. Is the president considering U.S. boots on the ground or any kind of support of overthrowing Maduro?
I won't get
6
into
o'clock,
any
right,
specific
some people
proposals that are
come in
being
at, like,
considered
real
by the
fucking
president and
early.
his national security team, but I think we've been
Yeah.
pretty transparent
Basically,
and clear
people are
in
gonna be
the
waking up pretty
administration's
soon is
view
what I'm
of
trying
the
to say.
illegitimate Maduro
Like a couple
regime,
of
and the
hours.
president has taken very unprecedented,
4
tough
hours,
action
people are gonna be
to
waking
end
up.
the illegal trafficking of illicit drugs into
3 or
our
4
country from Maduro's illegitimate regime.
At least in California,
Danny, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
Right, the workforce in
French government has
California, some people wake
collapsed
up at like
again, for the
right
fourth
4 in
time
the
in a
morning,
year.
5 in the morning.
And I was just wondering if there's any concern in the White House about the kind of ongoing political crisis there.
Just to go to
Any
work,
thought
by the
about
way.
whether the President Trump's good friend, President Macron, should either call elections or even resign over that?
Well, I can tell you the White House and the National Security Council are very much aware of this situation, but I think it would be imprudent of me to weigh in on French internal politics from the podium, so I will reserve comment on that. Behind you, yes.
What is President Trump's expectations for talks today and I guess this week in Egypt? And is there a new timeline that the president is giving all sides to reach an agreement?
Yes, there are technical talks happening right now in Egypt amongst Special Envoy Witkoff and Mr. Kushner, as well as their respective parties from all sides. What we saw take place on Friday, and I have not commented on that from the podium yet, is truly remarkable. You've seen all sides of this conflict agree that this war needs to end and agree to the 20-point framework that President Trump proposed. It's an incredible achievement, and the administration is working very hard to move the ball forward as quickly as we can. The president wants to see a ceasefire. He wants to see the hostages released, and the technical teams are discussing that as we speak to ensure that the environment is perfect to release those hostages. They're going over the lists of both the Israeli hostages and also the political prisoners who will be released, and those talks are underway, and the president is very much on the ball and is being apprised of this situation.
The president had given a Sunday evening deadline. Obviously, the negotiations have extended that, I imagine. What is that new deadline? Does the president have a time frame in mind to see this phase implemented?
Well, the Sunday evening deadline was to hear back from Hamas on the proposal one way or another. And of course, on Friday, Hamas put out a very clear statement in the president's view that they accept the president's framework, and that's why those technical talks are now underway. But again, we want to move very quickly on this, and the president wants to see the hostages released as soon as possible. Steve.
How long do you expect those technical talks to last, Caroline?
I don't want to draw a red line up here, Steve. Of course, it's very important, as I just mentioned, that we get this done quickly. That's how the president's team feels, so we can get some momentum, get the hostages out, and then move to the next part of this, which is really ensuring that we can create a lasting and durable peace in Gaza, and ensure that Gaza is a place that no longer threatens the security of Israel or the United States.
What do you expect to be on the agenda for the president's meeting with the Prime Minister of Canada tomorrow?
I'm sure trade will be a topic of discussion tomorrow, and all of the other issues that are facing both Canada and the United States. I know the president looks forward to having that discussion with Carney in the Oval Office. Caitlin.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions. On the layoff of federal workers, potentially, the president said yesterday that Democrats will be to blame if federal workers lose their jobs. Historically, though, in past shutdowns, workers have been furloughed, but they have not been laid off en masse. So wouldn't that be the president's call to lay people off?
As I've said repeatedly, Caitlin, this conversation about layoffs would not be happening right now if the Democrats did not vote to shut the government down. And as I also said last briefing as well, we are $37 trillion in debt, and the government is not receiving any cash.
They say Trump is to blame, but it's also everyone.
Good stewards
Trump
of the American
and
taxpayer
Democrats
dollar.
are to
And layoffs
How
are an
about that?
unfortunate consequence of that.
Both can be true at the same time, you fucking
Well, as I'm
bitch.
telling you now, this administration is focusing on
You wanna be a
checking the
fucking
balance
cunt
sheet
about
and
it.
ensuring we're doing the right thing
Actually,
by the
well, I
American
mean, Trump's not
taxpayer.
doing anything
And
wrong. He's-
again, these conversations about layoffs would not be
Yeah,
happening in
he's
the White
pissing
House
off the
today
Democrats.
if not for the Democrat
Right.
shutdown. And they have a choice to change that. They have another opportunity tonight to do the right thing to
Which is
reopen the government.
A-okay in
Joey.
my
Judge
view.
over the weekend. Sorry, my second question. A federal judge over the weekend
He needs to
that
do
the president
more,
had
honestly.
appointed
I
to the
wanna see
bench in
them
his first
hung.
term in office basically argued that he could not deploy other states' national guards to Portland. Basically said that it was untethered,
Needs to
his
be-
argument,
Oh.
what was actually happening on the ground. Which local officials in Portland
Gotta
have
get
said
rid of all
that
the
the National
globals.
Guard is needed there?
With all due respect to that judge, I
Gotta
think
bring it
her
out,
opinion
Jones
is
in.
untethered in
Gotta
reality
get
and
rid
in the
of
law.
all of
The
them.
president is using his authority as Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Code 12406, which clearly states that the president has the right to call up the National Guard in cases where he deems it's appropriate. And if you look at what has happened in Portland, Oregon, for more than 100 nights, I was talking to our law enforcement team about it this morning, for more than 100 days, night after night after night, the ICE facility has been really under siege by these anarchists outside. They have been disrespecting law enforcement. They've been inciting violence. We saw, again, a guillotine rolled out in front of this federal building.
yes,
And so the
yeah, I
president
heard
wants to
about
ensure that our federal buildings and our assets are protected. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. And ultimately, in the case in Los Angeles, that judge ruled in the Ninth Circuit, that panel of judges ruled that those troops could remain and that the president was well within his authority to do so. So we are appealing that decision. As you know, we expect a hearing on it pretty quickly. And we're very confident in the president's legal authority to do this, and we're very confident we will win on the merits of the law.
But no local officials that you can point to that have said we need the National Guard. Because I spoke to the police chief of Portland last week. He said that the president's claims just don't match up with what's happening on the ground.
I would encourage you as a reporter to go on the ground and to take a look at it for yourself, because there's been many members of the press not press in this room, but independent journalists, some of whom we'll be inviting to the White House very soon to share their stories, because they have been in the middle of these riots and they have witnessed the anarchy that is taking place night after night. It's on video. You should play it on your show. You have a great opportunity on prime time on CNN to show your audience. Yeah, but you're probably talking to partisan Democrat officials who are opposed to everything this president does. You should also ask the people who live in Portland. We've actually heard from many members of the community who have said that this is complete civil disobedience. It's a mess. It's been loud. It's been troubling for neighbors in the community who are just trying to live peacefully.
Building for
and these
so
people
fucking
are not
long now.
there to peacefully protest. They are there to cause mayhem and havoc.
How is it that
Steven,
it's okay
go ahead.
to just let it? You can literally see it all over fucking YouTube, man. There's so many people seeing that shit.
On a very
it's
different
just like,
matter,
oh, yeah,
the
it's
president
okay.
last
Okay
week
to let
floated
this
in an
happen.
interview with our colleague Daniel from One America a rebate for terrorism
Vandalize,
to
burn
$2,000
cars,
per person.
fuck up buildings.
Is that plan contingent on the
Break
Supreme
windows.
Court's upcoming ruling on the legality of the
Jesus.
tariffs? And is the White House preparing for legislation to make that happen?
Sure. On the first point, I have not seen that report, Stephen, but I'll check in with our national security team after this and we'll get you an update. To your second point about the tariff rebates, I think it's an idea that the president has discussed and floated with his team of advisors, but no decision has been firmly made at this point in time. Why don't we go to the back? Owen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
A few days ago, President Trump demanded Jay Jones of Virginia get out of the race for condoning political violence in a text message against a Republican politician a few years ago. He hasn't left the race. He hasn't dropped out. What's the president's reaction?
Well, as you know, I'm not at liberty to discuss political races from the podium. I think the president himself made his position very clear, and I think anyone could agree the messages that were sent by this Democrat nominee for Attorney General in Virginia are really shocking, alarming, and completely unacceptable. He was threatening to kill his opponent and his opponent's children, and that type of rhetoric has zero place in our country, and the president was absolutely right to condemn that.
I didn't bring it up, but yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. The Democrats have questioned and scrutinized the president's comments about using potentially the military, American cities, as training grounds for the military. And when you look at Portland, Chicago, local and state officials say that their local law enforcement is able to handle the situations, these protests on the ground. The president says that Portland is burning, using that as justification for the National Guard in Portland. But when you look here in Washington, D.C., the president just last week said it is now a completely safe city, and there are still National Guard members on the streets that are not involved in ICE activities. Can you provide the justification for the White House here in Washington, D.C., why the National Guard members continue to be out on the streets?
Because Washington, D.C. has invited the National Guard here. Why? Because the mayor is doing the right thing, unlike mayors in other cities like Portland, as Caitlin and others have pointed out, who refuse to see that there are positive results from when local law enforcement works with federal law enforcement to do the right thing on behalf of their citizens. And Washington, D.C. is no doubt a safer city right now today than it was a few months ago when President Trump started this initiative to make D.C. safe again. And the National Guard is still here because the president and the mayor agree that it's a good thing for the city. Just like you're seeing in Memphis, for instance. We'll have National Guard deployed to Memphis. We have federal agents who are on the ground working with state and local law enforcement. The state police in Tennessee are part of this effort. The local metropolitan police in Memphis are part of this effort. State and local law enforcement and federal law enforcement should be working together. And it's a shame that we see in some cities across the country that their mayors are just simply refusing to cooperate because they don't like Donald Trump. And that's what this boils down to. And I don't think any American would disagree that Chicago needs more law enforcement reinforcements, that they need more resources. Look at this headline from over the weekend. At least 30 people shot during the weekend in Democrat-run Chicago. 5 of them were killed in one weekend. This is completely unacceptable, and the president wants to make American cities safer, and he's willing to work with anyone to do it.
If the courts allow you to ultimately send in the National Guard into Chicago and Portland, do Democrats not have reason to be concerned that there are long-term plans by this administration to keep U.S. military or the National Guard in American cities, like what we are seeing here in Washington.
Why should they be concerned about the federal government offering help to make their cities a safer place? They should be concerned about this. They should be concerned about the fact that people in their cities right now are being gunned down every single night. And the president, all he's trying to do is fix it. And there has been a complete smear campaign by the Democrats and the media, quite frankly. I was reading Political Playbook this morning, one of the most inside the Beltway newsletters you can find. And you guys are framing this like the president wants to take over the American cities with the military. The president wants to help these local leaders who have been completely ineffective in securing their own cities. And we have already seen there's a positive formula for that. Look at Washington, D.C. The murder rate has declined significantly. Our streets are safer. People who live here feel safer. All of you in this room, I know you do. You just won't admit it. And it's a proven system that works, and the president wants to make American cities safe again. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
going hard enough.
Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions, if I may.
Because the mayor wants them. Michael.
These talks in Egypt, if Hamas does agree to relinquish power and give it up, cede power to this transitional technocratic government, if that does happen, would the Trump administration then recognize a Palestinian state?
Look, I don't want to get ahead of the technical talks right now, Michael. They're extremely sensitive. They're taking place, again, as we speak, and there's a lot of... there's many things to discuss, of course. This is, hopefully, we expect and we hope, going to be one of the greatest peace deals this world has ever seen. And the Trump administration is working diligently and working very hard to get there. And as I said, Friday, all terms agreed. We have the Arab countries who are working with us. Of course, Israel has been incredible in cooperating with the president's plan and agreeing to it. And we're very hopeful, and we expect that to continue.
You tweeted about this over the weekend.
Thank you. I was going to you in the blue shirt and tie.
Thank you,
Yes,
Caroline.
you're welcome.
With Daily Mail. Today, the Supreme Court declined to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal. Will Trump rule out granting her clemency? Is that something the White House is considering?
It's not something I've heard discussed, and we don't comment on clemency requests that may or may not have been made, but
Honestly,
I'm certainly not tracking
to be honest, I don't think she's gonna... Right, she got denied because, well, she probably didn't provide... Well, she probably gave information, but she's also a fucking criminal. Obviously, they're gonna fucking deny her with all the fucking heinous shit she did. So she fucking...
Caroline.
Jordan, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. So we're talking about these radical groups in Portland and Chicago. I know the president has spoken about potentially going after George Soros with RICO charges and for funding all of this violence. Has there been any update on that? And also, is the administration looking into the other nonprofits, maybe taking away their 501c3 status for funding
yeah,
this
you should be
violence?
looking at fucking NGOs, to be honest. Well, I mean,
Sure.
honestly,
the financial
it's the
backing
NGO.
of these
I hate to say it, but
groups,
Trump is,
particularly
Trump
Antifa,
knows that
is certainly
some of those
something the
NGOs are
administration
fucking shady
is
as
looking
fuck.
into aggressively.
probably
And
in-
the federal government has never really been mobilized or tasked
Well,
with
the fuck is
doing
probably
that.
playing
So we're
games
kind of
with them,
kickstarting
too.
that into gear. The FBI is working on it alongside the White House's Homeland Security Task Force. We have our intelligence community looking into this as well. And even the Secretary of Treasury is involved with these matters since they are financial in nature. And we will continue to get to the bottom of who is funding these organizations in this organized anarchy against our country and our government. It's a question the American people have been begging the answer for many years, and we're committed to uncovering it. And when we do, I'm sure you'll be one of the first people to know.
Separately, Caroline.
Thank you. So Gaza, under the president's plan, is going to be governed by a transitional governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts. Now, given how radicalized the Palestinian population is in Gaza and in the West Bank, can you offer some insight or guidance into who are some of these Palestinians that are going to be considered for leadership roles in Gaza, and where you're going to be finding them, and do you have any names?
We're not quite there yet, Jonathan. The president believes peace is possible in Gaza, and that's why he presented this detailed and comprehensive plan. The first step of that is securing a ceasefire and releasing the hostages, and then those conversations about ensuring a durable and lasting peace can continue. But what do you need to have peace in a region like Gaza that's been war-torn for far too long? You need security guarantees, and you need good governance. And so those will be two of the priorities that this administration is focused on.
If I may, the president has said he wants the government to reopen this week in a deal. what's going to happen by the end of the week if there's no deal? What's the White House prepared to do?
With no deal with what?
To reopen the government.
Look, as I said, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of pain inflicted. There already is on the American public, on our troops who are not being paid, again, on women and young children who depend on critical food assistance. We hate to see this. And in fact, the Office of Management and Budget is trying to do everything they can to find funds to get out the door for these vulnerable populations in our country. Again, we shouldn't be having to do that. The Democrats have a chance to change course tonight. I believe the vote's taking place at 6:30, and we urge Democrat senators to vote to reopen the government and to do the right thing. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. What do you say? Are we gonna go in for another government shutdown day? I think we. Yeah. Anyways, there you have it. That was Caroline Leavitt and the government shutdown, and her basically getting asked a bunch of stupid questions too. But yeah. As it goes. If you want to check it out, that is at Forbes Breaking News. There's probably going to be more stuff tomorrow. They said they're going to have something tomorrow, or there's a meeting or something. Oh wait, no, it's like a dinner or something. It sounds like it's a. They're probably going to talk about some business deals and stuff. But yeah, probably not for our ears. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. There you have it.